not know, I'm best described as someone between jobs. But it's an honor to be here, and I want to welcome you on behalf of the Lantos Foundation and the Hampshire Supreme Court Society to this very special evening, very important evening. I have the privilege to serve on the Board of Advisors, I do, of the foundation, and I also have the privilege of having known Tom Lantos, and many of you may have known him too. He would be here tonight, and he would be in Russia on the 15th of December, where his daughter will be when they read the verdict. Tom Lantos was someone who was tolerant to a fault, but he was intolerant of intolerance. He would have been intolerant about what's going on in Russia with Mr. Khodorkovsky. For those of you who know the story, I apologize. For those of you who don't, I'll just take a minute. Mr. Khodorkovsky, as we gather here tonight, in the confines of this comfortable theater, is sitting alone in a prison in Moscow, where he has been since October of 2003. And depending upon what they do on December 15th, he might be sentenced to considerably more time. He was at one time one of the wealthiest people in Russia, hugely successful, the head of Yukos Oil. And he turned his attention to social issues and political and economic issues in the country he loved. It was threatening to Mr. Putin. He was a notable and important figure. By all accounts, the charges filed against him were bogus, but it didn't mean he couldn't be convicted, and he was convicted in 2003. And as his time was coming to be eligible to be released, they filed a second set of charges against him. And from March of 2009 until very recently, he was on trial a second time while in prison. The case was tried to a judge. They don't have the jury system. And they will read the verdict, I'm told, on the 15th of December. And Katrina Swett will be in Moscow, as her father would have been, to hear that verdict read and to speak out for human rights around the world. As someone who has spent his entire life as a judge for 15 years and a lawyer for 22 years before that, I have come to understand in a very personal way what the rule of law means. It's not some academic principle. It binds all of us in a society with predictability and fairness and due process that does not exist in Russia. Although there are some judges there, I've met them, they've come to our courthouse in Concord, who in a different environment would breathe different air, who long to breathe different air. Oppression exists in Russia at levels that many of us, I don't think, fully grasp. I include myself in that category. And so this film tonight, which was shot by Cathryn Collins, a name that I'm fond of, it was my mother's maiden name, actually. And she shot this film at some personal risk to herself. And the film was gaining some notoriety, as it should. And so I hope, as a result of tonight and the panel that will follow, that we can keep the light on and intensify its glow. Because the only way human rights abuses continue around the globe is when darkness comes. We need to keep the lights on. We need to intensify the glow. And with that, I will turn this microphone over to others. Pleasure to be here. It's nice to have a job of some kind, even though it's only 5 minutes. But it's a pleasure to be here, but more importantly, it's a pleasure to be part of this tonight. This film is inspiring, important, and it affects real lives. So I hope tonight when you're watching this and listening to the discussion, you understand that Mr. Khodorkovsky is alone in a jail cell in Moscow. But the fact we're talking about him in Concord, New Hampshire is extraordinary, and it shows great promise. So with that, I hope you enjoy the film and the discussion that will follow. Thank you.